Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Lily Makes Stuff. Today I am going to be showing you how to make the mermaid shell sweater that I designed. The size small free written pattern is on my website, lilymakestuff.com. There are also other sizes available on the website for purchase for the written pattern. Pattern is fairly easy to follow and understand. It's basically two pieces, the front and the back, that you sew together, that I will show you here eventually. Also uses just a couple of simple stitches using a single crochet, double crochet. Okay, so today what you're going to need to make this sweater is the Lion brand hand-dyed silk, and the color I'm using is Tanzanite, and each skein has about 151 yards, and for the size small I used 5.5 skeins, and so about 850 yards, and it's a medium weight yarn. And if my Vanna will please show the actual yarn, it's extremely soft. It's made out of silk, but it does tear really easy, so you got to be a little gentle with it. My husband is being my Vanna hands today because mine don't look very good today. So you're also going to need a 5mm hook. Thank you, Vanna. And then you will also need scissors, and you don't have to have stitch markers, but they sure come in really handy, and a yarn needle. And so, thank you, Vanna. That is what you're gonna need to get this sweater started. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please remember to like, and if you want to see some more, subscribe to my channel. I will have some more stuff coming up, hopefully soon. And thanks again for watching. Okay, let's get started. First, we're going to chain 65 for the size small. So we will start with a slip knot and then begin chaining. And if you don't know how to do a chain, because I'm going a little fast, I do have a video that I will put in the description below that tells you how to do this a little bit slower. And I am not going to force you to watch me chain 65. So I will meet you back at the end for the 65 chains. Okay, so I have 65 chains for a size small, and I am going to work a single crochet into the second loop from my hook. So this would be the first one. This is the second one. So we go into that one and do a single crochet, and then in the next one, a double crochet. And you do this all the way across. And the pattern of the stitch is called lemon peel. And so basically we're going to be doing this for the bottom half of the sweater, just alternating between a double crochet and a single crochet. And I will meet you back at the end of row 1, where you will have 64 stitches, alternating between single crochet and double crochet. Doesn't look like much right now. Okay, getting close to the end. This pattern, the lemon peel, is pretty simple and easy to understand. It's just single and then double, single, then double. You just alternate between the two. And if you ever lose your place, like here's a single, there's a double, and you're not quite sure what to do next, you just do not the opposite, but the other one. So it's easy to pick up if you have lost your place. Okay, so right there I had stopped on a single crochet, so I know that the next stitch is going to be a double crochet. And it doesn't really make any difference If you end on an odd or an even, or if you started the row with a single crochet, does that mean that you have to end on a single crochet? No, it's just really critical that you do the alternative to what came before. So like that was a double crochet, so we're ending on a single crochet. So now we're fixing to go to row 2, and we're going to chain 1 and turn. And then because this last stitch on the previous row was a single crochet, you know you start with a double crochet. You just have to do, not the opposite, because I don't know that single and double crochets are opposite of one another, but you just have to do the other one. So, I don't know if you can see this, but right here was a single crochet, so the one above it was a double. This was a double, so this above it is a single. This below was a single, above it is a double. So you just work them back and forth and make sure that you don't do 2 of the same in a row, or the same either above or the same below. You just have to keep alternating. So you're going to work row 2, repeat row 2 until you get to row 6. And then on row 7, we're going to do a decreasing row, and I will meet you back there and show you how to do that. So keep working, single, and then a double. Back and forth until you get to 6 rows. Okay, I just finished up row 6, and I ended on a double crochet, if you can see that. So I'm fixing to start row 7, and this row is going to be a decrease. So at the end of row 6, I had a total of 64 stitches, and now for row 7, I'm going to decrease it by 2. So we're going to skip the first stitch and skip the last stitch. So we will have 62 stitches. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then we are going to slip stitch this first stitch, so it basically isn't one. And so the slip stitch would have basically been a single crochet, because I had ended the last row in a double crochet. And so now, if you can see the row below, this right here is a single crochet. And so now I'm going to start this row with a double crochet. So alternating from what is below it, okay? So that is going to be my very first stitch of the 7th row, which is a double crochet. And I'm going to put the stitch marker in here because I have been marking each row. Here's the other end, so that I can keep track of which row I'm on. And I will continue alternating the double with the single crochet across row 7. And we're going to continue row 7 until we get to row 13. So from rows 7 to 13, we're going to have 62 stitches across, but continuing the same pattern of alternating single crochet with double crochets. So there's my single crochet. Next stitch below is a single crochet, so I know I need to do a double crochet. Okay, so I will meet you back at the end of row 13, and row 14 is going to be another decrease, just like row 7. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 7, and I need to show you how to decrease on the end of the row. So this is next to last stitch. It's a double crochet, and then the last stitch would be normally a single crochet, but we're going to just skip that all together, and we're going to stop right there, and we're going to count and verify that we have 62 stitches. There's 5, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 62. 62 stitches at row 7. So we are going to stop right here. And instead of finishing off that very last stitch, we're just going to continue on to row 8. So we chain 1 and we turn, and because our last stitch right here was a double crochet, when we turn and start the next row, it's going to be a single crochet. And then continue alternating double crochet and single crochet across row 8, and we're going to do that until we get to row 13, and then, like I said before, row 14 will be a decrease row. Okay, this is the end of row 13, and we're fixing to do row 14, which is another decrease row. It's going to be just pretty much the same as row 7. So we're going to look real quick. I ended on a double chain right here, single chain. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So just chained 1 and turned, and this is right here would normally be the first stitch, and I would normally do a single crochet because I ended on a double crochet. But at the beginning of this row, because it's a decrease row, I'm just going to slip stitch. So we're basically skipping that first one. And now I'm going to be working into the second one, which is a single crochet, which means I start this row with double crochet. Okay. And this is going to be the first stitch of row 14. Which is a decrease row. So now instead of 62 stitches across, we will have 60 stitches across. And we're going to continue that alternating single crochet, double crochet. So the row below, right here, I had a double crochet. So I'm going to do a single crochet. This is a single crochet in the row below, so I'm doing a double crochet, which is also staying consistent with the pattern. Okay, so I will meet you at the end of this row to talk about how we decrease at the end of this row, 14. Okay, this is the end of row 14. And I'm 2 stitches away from the end, and so I just did a single crochet, and so next to last stitch, double crochet, and then that's where we stop, and we're going to start row 15. Okay, so we should have 60 stitches, and we're going to count them. Okay, I just counted, and yes, verified that we had 60 for row 15, or excuse me, 14. So now we're going to start row 15, and we chain 1, and we ended on a double crochet. So row 15 will start with a single crochet. And then we'll continue that pattern across row 15. Start out with a single crochet, now double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet. Okay, so we will repeat this row 15 until row 19, because row 20 is our next decrease row. Okay, so I'm finishing up row 19 right here, and we're fixing to do row 20, which is going to be another decreasing row, just like row 7, just like row 14. So chaining 1, and I ended on a single crochet right here. So this row we start, well, would normally start on a double crochet, but because it's a decreasing row, we just do a slip stitch, like a placeholder, okay? So then the first stitch of row 20 will actually be a single crochet because this one below it is a double, okay? So putting my stitch marker on the first stitch of row 20. We are going from 60 stitches down to 58. So we slip stitch the very first one, and then we're going to continue the single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet like we've been doing all across the row until we get to the next to last, and that's where we stop on row 20. And then we continue on to row 21, and then we're going to do another decrease row on 26. So I will meet you back at row 26. All right, this is the end of row 25, and I ended with a double crochet, and we're starting row 26, which is going to be a decrease row. So like row 7, 14, and 20, this is a decrease row. So the first stitch we slip stitch, we skip basically. There we go, slip stitch. And so the very first stitch of row 26 is going to be a double crochet. Put my stitch marker in there, and like all the decrease rows, we continue the pattern of alternating between single and double, double and single. So we just did a double, so now single, and continue that double all the way to the end, excuse me, next to last stitch, and then we stop there. So we went from 58 stitches on row 25, and now on 26 we're decreasing down to 56. So we skip the first stitch, we skip the very last stitch, we stop at the next to last stitch on row 26. So that would be a total of 56 stitches. And then from row 27 to row 31, we continue that 56 stitches. And at the end of row 31, I will come back and meet you, but that's where we fasten off and begin the sleeve portion. Okay, so I am now at the end of row 31, and this is one side of it. I put a stitch marker in the beginning stitch of each row, and there are 30 stitch markers, excuse me, 15 stitch markers on this side, and there are 16 stitch markers on this side. So this is row 31, and we have 56 stitches, and this is the end of row 31. And so this is where I'm going to fasten off. I cut it and pull it back through my loop, and that ends the bottom portion of the sweater. I'm going to weave this in at the very end. I'm not going to do it right now, and I'm going to show you how to start the sleeve. Okay, to start row 32, we're going to do a different thing. We are going to chain 32, okay, now I have 32 chains, and it shouldn't matter which side you're joining the chain to. This pattern, the front and the back both look the same. Just pick a side to where you're going to join this 32 chains to the corner. So on row 32, we actually continue one more row of the lemon peel pattern. So this is the first stitch, and it was a single crochet. So now to join this chain to here, we're going to join it with a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, go in the top. This might be a little weird, but try and keep your yarn straight. Okay, so we just joined the 32 chains to the top here, and then we're going to work the pattern across the 56 stitches, single crochet, double crochet, and I'm going to meet you on the other end, but just keep working the lemon peel pattern. Okay, so now at this side, the opposite end of where we started, we're going to do another 32 chains plus 2. That will be our bridge to start row 33. Okay, here's 32 chains. Now we'll do our bridge, our turning chains of 2. And now we're going to turn it over to work back across the chain we just made. And when you're getting ready to turn to work, make sure that the chain isn't all twisted. Now we start the shell pattern along our chain. And so in the second chain from the hook, which would be this one, we're going to do a single crochet and then skip 2 and work 5 double crochets. Next, we will skip 2 chains, do another single crochet, and this is the pattern that you repeat all the way across to the end. Skip 2 chains, work 5 double crochets into that third chain, okay, and then you skip 2 and do a single crochet into the third, skip 2 into the third chain, do 5 double crochets, and work that all the way across to the other end, and I will show you what you do when you come to the end. Okay, so I just went across the chain over here and then kept going with the shell stitch across the body, and then now finishing up the end right here on our chain. And so we, just like the pattern, we skip 2 and work a single crochet into that last stitch. Okay. Okay, to start row 2 of the shell pattern, you chain 3, turn, and this chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet, and you're going to work 2 more double crochets into the single crochet at the end of the row 1. So this would be like a half shell. And I'm going to put a stitch marker in the top of the first one. Okay, so then just like the previous row, you skip 2 and work a single crochet. It will be in the top of the middle of the shell, and then you skip 2 more and you work another 5 double crochets into the previous row single crochet. And this is how you work the shell pattern. And skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochets. So I'm coming to the end of row 2, and we have continued the pattern of single crochet, and then when you get to the very end, you skip 2, and then you do what you did at the beginning of row 2. You do a half shell. So you do 3 double crochets into that last stitch. So that is what we're going to be repeating, rows 1 and 2, for a total of 19 rows. So just a reminder, to start row 3, you do the same thing that you did for row 1. You chain and turn, and then in this initial double crochet, you do a single crochet, and then skip 2, work 5 double crochet, and you repeat that pattern all the way across. And when you get to the end, you end it just like you began it. You put a single crochet in the top of the previous row, middle double crochet. So I will meet you back at row 19, and then we're going to do a little bit of a different, we're going to modify the shell stitch for the remainder of the top. Okay, so I just finished row 19, and your sleeve should look something like this, the shell stitch. And now rows 20 through 26, so another 6 more rows. We're going to modify the shell stitch just a little bit to make it a little more open. So we are going to crochet 3 because I ended on a single crochet, and flip this over, and this is how we're going to modify it. So normally I would be doing 3 double crochets, and I'm going to, for the middle double crochet, I'm actually going to do just a chain, and then do our, technically like our 3rd double crochet, so it leaves it a little more open in there. So you're going to do your normal chain 3 like you would do, and then for the middle one, just do 1 chain. You're going to skip it, and then for the 3rd double crochet, you just do a normal double crochet, and then in the top of the shell, we would normally do a single crochet. You do the same, and then you skip 2, and then this is where we would normally work our 5 double crochets. We're only going to do 3. So we'll do the first one, chain 1 for the second one, do the middle one, double crochet, chain 1, and then do the last double crochet. So instead of doing 5, we're only doing 3, and in between each of the 3 we do 1 chain. So we still have 5 stitches, and as you repeat this row, you're still doing, on row 21, you're going to do a single crochet here just like you would have done in the other pattern. So we skip 2, this is the top, do a single crochet, skip 2, and then this would be normally where we would do our 5 double crochet, but we're only doing 3. We do the first one, we chain, we do the middle one, chain, and do the last one. Skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, do our modified shell, which is a double crochet, chain 1, middle, double crochet, chain 1, and then the last one. Okay, so I'll meet you back at the end of row 20 just to show you how to transition into row 21. Okay, coming to the end of row 20, just did my modified shell, skip 2, do a single on the top of that one, and then just like we began this row, we end it the same way. So you start out with the half shell, which would be your first double crochet, and then you chain 1 for the middle one, and then your last double crochet. So that's how row 20 ends. It's just in that little modified half shell. And then we're going to begin row 21. And you start out just like you did previously with a single crochet, skip 2, and then this is where you do your modified shell with a double crochet, a chain, double crochet, chain, and then your last double crochet. So instead of 5 stitches, we only have 5 double crochets. We have 3 double crochets, and we did chains in place of 2. And then you just repeat that across row 21, and you continue that pattern. I will show you how to, okay, so now we're building on top of our previous row modified shell, but you still do the same thing. You still skip 2, 1, 2, and you work a single crochet into the middle of the previous row shell. So it'll just be on top of the middle double crochet. Skip 2, do your modified shell, and I will come back at the end of the row and show you how to transition to the next row. Okay, this is the end of row 21, and you end it just like you began it. So you skip 2, and in this third chain we work a single crochet, there we go. Okay, so that is how you end row 21. And so you are going to just work back and forth rows 20 and 21 until you get to 26. And at row 26, we're going to be done, and we'll fasten off, and then I will show you how to sew the front and the back panel together. Okay, so I just finished up row 26 of this top row, and now I'm going to fasten off. I'm going to cut a piece. And pull the yarn through. And then we're going to need to mark the middle of the top of the sweater. I have both pieces here. I don't know if you can see that. And this right here is the middle. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shell stitches on either side. This is the single crochet right in the middle of 20 shell stitches, okay? And so to mark off the neck, I went 1, 2, 3 on this side and 1, 2, 3 on this side. And this is the single crochets. Let's see if I can pull this up closer. The single crochets right after the 3 shells, okay? And I did that for both sides, and we're gonna line those up And it helps tremendously if you have stitch markers. And that is going to be our neck opening right here. Okay, on this sweater, there really isn't a front and a back side. Both sides look the same. So you can decide which two sides you're going to face one another. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take yarn, and I generally do like 3 times the length that I'm gonna need the yarn. And what we're gonna do is go and finish all the edges. So from your neck to the end of your sleeve, from the sleeve to the underarm, from the underarm to the bottom, and then come to the other side and do bottom to the underarm, underarm to the end of the sleeve, and then back to the end of the sleeve to your neck, okay? And you're going to take that and do that. Once you have, I joined all the corners and all the edges. If you want to, you can join stitch markers more along here, but you're basically just matching up everything. And we're gonna take and weave these together. So on the end of your string, I'm just making a slip knot here, and then I will weave that end in with the rest of these ends when I finish. So after you make the slip knot that we will weave in the end of with all the rest of the ends, we're going to weave this back and forth from the inside like a shoestring through each one of the stitches along the top. And it doesn't need to be pulled super tight. This yarn is kind of fragile, so you can't really pull it too tight or it will just break. So remember, go from the inside to the inside along every stitch. For all of the sides that we need to join. And I will meet you back when you have joined all your sides. We will fasten off, and then I will show you how to weave in all the ends. Okay, I've just finished sewing up all the edges, and now I'm going to weave in my ends. And there is no right or wrong way to do this. It's basically just working back your thread into the seam, and as many times as you can kind of double back on itself, the more chances it will not come loose. And you just weave in all these ends. And once you feel like you've got them weaved in, if they're particularly long, you don't have to weave the entire thing in. You can clip the ends, and my scissors have disappeared. Okay, found the scissors. And so once you've weaved in your ends, then you're going to turn your work inside out and kind of open your seams, and you are all done. Thank you so much for watching, and hope you enjoy your sweater.